I'm the great-great-granddaughter of Beulah Brinton. So shortly after, the notoriety. Shortly after I was born, my father was sent away to the Philippines to fight. And my mom and I, Daisy Estes Tucker, and I went to live at the Brinton house over on Pryor and Superior, and for the duration of the war. And while I was there, I was living 4 generations with myself, my mom, and my grandparents, Mabel and Ira Estes, and my great-grandmother, I called her Grandma Nim, and my great-uncle, Worry, children of Beulah Brinton. So we were 4 generations there, and Grandma Mabel and I really bonded, and we'd go hand in hand all the time. We would always walk to Grappy's and turn on our little bitty red tickets for meat. Does anybody remember that during the war? Nobody. I'm older than all of you. Then, oh, thank you. Yeah, right. And we'd walk to Trinity Methodist Church, where I was baptized, which is now Bayview United Methodist Church. And so she was a buddy of mine. Anyway, fast forward to when I was about 11 or 12, my great-uncle Worry passed away. And who knew? He had money. So my mom, and I should add on to this, she wanted a castle in Whitefish Bay. And so we moved to Whitefish Bay, and she got a Coupe de Ville. And I said, Mom, this is your fault, but I'm going to Whitefish Bay High School, and I have to have 5 cashmere sweaters. I have to have all kinds of things to go with it, and blazers and Spalding shoes, and I have to compete. You brought us here, you're a snob. I said, so, and so she said, no. And then she said, but your Grandma Mabel knows everything about making garments. So she said, you get together with her and do it. So I went down, Grandma Mabel and I went to T.A. Chapman's. Am I the only one that remembers that one? Okay. And we bought patterns, and we bought fabrics, and we had beautiful wool plaids and cotton. And we went back to the Brinton house, and we went in the dining room, and we set everything out on that big dining room table, and we had too much fun. I made everything, and since then, I've always made my clothes, but it never occurred to me to make a career out of it. So I went to I went to Northwestern University, and I got a theater degree with a minor in science. So I became more of an engineer, pattern maker, and designer. So anyway, I went after Northwestern, I went to New York for 5 years, and I did lots of plays, some off-Broadway, USO tours. I went all over the world, saw Europe and everything, and then have to jump forward again. I went out to Los Angeles, and I started to do commercials and movies and silly things like Adam 12 and all kinds of stuff. And one day, after 50 stage shows and who knows how many stupid TV things, said, that's it. I had an epiphany. I'm done. I want control of my life. And so the next morning, I went down to the Los Angeles Garment Center, and I said to a big company, actually 150 million they were doing at the time, and they needed a production pattern maker. And I said, I'm here. I know how to do this. And so, big switch all of a sudden, and 2.5 years later, I had learned everything I could about the garment industry, so I started my own business, and it's called the Pattern Factory, and I would help people start their own businesses. And one day, I did really well at that, but one day, this guy came bounding through my doors, George Marciano, and he said, I am going to be the biggest manufacturer in the whole world. And I said, oh yeah, right. Well, you know, everybody says that. And then so he wanted to make jeans, and so what we did was we tried to get the right fit and everything, and it was real skinny legs at the time. So he said, okay, but I'm going to stonewash them. I said, then you got to bring it back to me because they're going to be shrunk. And I said, you've got to get the pattern fixed so that you can sew all your garments up in the right size. He didn't want to spend the money, so we made all of these pairs of jeans he was going to sell to Saks, and then he went and he was going to sell them to Saks, but we couldn't get I couldn't get my foot inside so I said, we got to open this up. So I put the zipper on the side of the ankle, and they sold millions, absolutely millions. And he says it was my mistake that made him a millionaire. Anyhow, so NAFTA came along. I lost all my big company's businesses, and I had to move back to Milwaukee, and I really wanted to anyway. I had a baby, 2 years old. I was a single mom, and I have a boy. And I moved back, and I don't know if any of you remember the company Canvasbacks. Is that okay? I walked in their door, and they were doing these little tennis skirts with a canvas on. I said, I know what you need to do. So 7 years later, we were doing all of these really outlandish, things with all these kind of colors and stuff. That was an exquisite 7 years. I loved doing all that. But then partners had problems, and they split, and I had to go, and I came back, and I couldn't, one more minute, and I couldn't get a job. I couldn't get a job anywhere. There was Canvasbacks was the only company left. So one day, I said, I just give up. I was on the couch. I said, Mom, I'm just going to give up now. I don't know what to do. Just bought a house in Whitefish Bay myself. She said, go over to this company over on National Avenue. And I said, what? That little store, they sell $5 running shorts. What am I going to design for them? She said, go. Just wash your face and brush your hair and get out and go. And I went over there, and I'm talking to this woman who owns it, and I said what I could do, and I'm explaining how I was designing and this and that, and she just... No. And there was a voice behind me that said, excuse me, do you make costumes? And I said, well, I try not to. I said, but she said, you don't understand. We have competition. We do 300 costumes a year maybe. We can give you 10 years. This is after we started speaking. 10 years, $500,000, $50,000 a year for the costumes, and you can do as many dance academies as you want. They turned out to be the #1 academy in the whole United States and Canada. 5,000 costumes later for competition. With 3 sewers, I did all the Pettit Center ice skating teams and everything, and I retired. And here's to Grandma Mabel and the dining room table.